Hey there, I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and we've got a short holiday week, and yet it's still interesting. And it's Billboard BREAKDOwn.
I don't remember.
So we've entered the time of year that outside of a surprise entry, or that Nicki Minaj album actually drops and has tangible impact on the Hot 100, it could be rather slow. And since Billboard conveniently keeps moving their year-end position further into November, more of this holiday season winds up impacting the year-end Hot 100, not getting trapped between years the way it probably should. The sooner all of this struggles to break out of recurrency, in my opinion, the better. What it also means is that these episodes will probably get a little bit slower or shorter. Now, granted, this is also the time of year where I'm trying to churn through my album backlog, trying to get my year-end list done, and I have a 2-hour video essay dropping this Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my main channel. I appreciate the extra time, but again, fair warning for y'all in advance. But now anyway, our top 10, where we do actually have something of an event. Taking the number 1 as the oldest person to have ever clinched this spot, decades after her last number ones in the early 1960s, and 65 years since she first released the song Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree by Brenda Lee, is at number 1. And deservingly so. She had a credible sales week, she dominated streaming, and radio has shifted to the holiday playlist. So to my utter surprise, she actually beat out Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You down at number 2. As a chart nerd, even if the majority of Brenda Lee's biggest charting success was in the early 60s, which was rough for the Hot 100, that's neat to see. I'm certainly not going to complain that she beat out Lovin' On Me by Jack Harlow, forcing him down to number 3, as he simply cannot match holiday streaming even if his radio push is in full swing. But then we got the expected stack of Christmas songs. Jingle Bell Rock by Bobby Helms at number 4, Last Christmas by Wham at number 5, and A Holly Jolly Christmas by Burl Ives at number 6. And that naturally takes us to Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift, which is somehow sticking around at number 7. Mostly because despite losing radio at rapid speed, she's still got the top spot there. And right behind her, Paint the Town Red by Doja Cat at number 8, where the margin between them is actually shrinking on the radio, but the streaming margin only appears to be getting bigger as she is losing there, and fast. Then following them up on the radio at this position at number 9 is Snooze by SZA, which is actually more stable on the radio, but it's got a wide enough margin between it and Paint the Town Red that it's not even going to make much ground, even if her streaming is actually better than Doja Cat. But to round this out, it's The Most Wonderful Time by Andy Williams, It's Back at number 10, which again, you can literally chart the holiday entries on the top 10 by their streaming positions on that chart. It's a little bit jarring. Now, one thing that I do not mind about the holiday season is that it actually pushes a lot of songs from this year into recurrence. So let's get into our pretty hefty list of losers and dropouts, because in the latter group there are some big ones. Dance the Night by Dua Lipa, Dial Drunk by Noah Kahan and Post Malone, What It Is Block Boy by Doechii and Kodak Black, Flowers by Miley Cyrus, Kill Bill by SZA, Ski Yeet by Sexy Red, La La by Mike Towers, and Bongos by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. And there's a hefty chunk of losers here too, so let's move through the Taylor Swift one first. Is It Over Now at 21, Now That We Don't Talk at 74, Slut at 98, and Say Don't Go at 100. Then we got the expected Drake losses. Rich Baby Daddy with Sexy Red and SZA at 33, First Person Shooter with J. Cole at 34, I Don't Give a Fuck with Yeet at 55, You Broke My Heart at 58, Virginia Beach at 73, and Slime You Out with SZA at 90. Then we have Tate McRae losing hard off her debut for X's down to 63, it's gonna rebound, as well as a bunch of continued losses for White Horse by Chris Stapleton at 50, Houdini by Dua Lipa at 52, Monaco by Bad Bunny at 56, Great Gatsby by Rod Wave at 75, Bad Idea Right by Olivia Rodrigo at 86, just saw a loss for Vampire at 37, and Rich Men North of Richmond by Oliver Anthony at 99. Then we saw a couple hits for Jelly Roll with Need a Favor down to 36, and Save Me with Lainey Wilson at 38, and then Well, the rest. Lil Boo Thang by Paul Russell, 35. Fuck You Mean by Gunna at 39. Used to Be Young by Miley Cyrus at 41. Good Good by Usher, Summer Walker, and 21 Savage at 48. Stick Season by Noah Kahan at 51. I honestly thought this might have had a little bit of holiday play given the production and the tone. Lose Control by Teddy Swims at 54. And Try That in a Small Town by Jason Aldean at 79. This should be its final week on the Hot 100. Good. Now this takes us neatly to our gains and returns, where I think amidst all the holiday music, there are a couple interesting stories. For instance, we do have a lot of holiday returns here, predominantly concentrated in the top 50, where they would have to go to beat Recurrence. White Christmas by Bing Crosby at 23. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by Gene Autry at 26. Christmas Baby Please Come Home by Darlene Love at 27. Deck the Halls by Nat King Cole at 28. 2 copies of It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. First from Perry Como at 29, and then from Michael Bublé at 31. Jingle Bells by Frank Sinatra at 30. And Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley at 32. Oh, and we also have Here Comes Santa Claus by Gene Autry at 40. Run Rudolph Run by Chuck Berry at 42. You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch by Thurl Ravenscroft at 43. Santa Claus is Coming to Town by the Jackson 5 at 44. Happy Holidays by Andy Williams at 47. And Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney at 49. Hey, they can't all be winners here. But to my shock, 3D by Jungkook and Jack Harlow also made it back to 72. Might have something to do with that very obvious Justin Timberlake remix, although he's not credited on Billboard at this time, which is a little bit surprising given how much they would just love to prop up legacy acts like him. And outside of our top 10 gains, we also saw Let It Snow by Dean Martin at 13, Sleigh Ride by the Ronettes at 14, Feliz Navidad by Jose Feliciano at 16, Underneath the Tree by Kelly Clarkson at 17, Santa Tell Me by Ariana Grande at 18. I'm still shocked that's become a thing. And The Christmas Song by Nat King Cole at 19. But we also saw a spike for Surround Sound by Jid featuring 21 Savage and Baby Tate. Apparently against all odds and the holiday season, that TikTok virality's got some legs. I got next to no faith it's gonna last over a month to get real momentum into the next year, but hey, nice surprise. Now this takes us to our new arrivals. All 2 of them. Yeah, it's gonna be a quick week, folks. Let's get this started with number 97, Labios Mordidos by Kali Uchis and Karol G. You know, for as much as I actually like Karol G, and I think she's had quite an underrated year, I was a little bit apprehensive at this collab single with Kali Uchis, which I've been lukewarm at best for years now, and especially when she's taking the majority of the lead of the song. And I think some of that contributes as to why I'm not really feeling this as much as I would like to. Uchis and Karol G have some pretty good cooing chemistry opposite each other, but the watery acoustics around the warping and thicker knock-up percussion keep implying a more interesting tune or shift than we often get, like that major key klaxon that slips across the second verse but then goes back to the same rather stale hook, especially given all the increasingly chirpy backing ad-libs. Now I'm not going to complain about the content, incredibly horny about all the women that they want to sleep with, they can certainly sell that, but as it is, I don't know, I feel like I should be way more on board with this than I am. That's frustrating. Gotta say it. And finally, number 46, You're Losing Me by Taylor Swift.
Stop, you're losing me. Stop, you're losing me. I can't find a pulse, my heart won't start anymore.
Okay, so apparently this is a song that was recorded with Midnights and was a vault track for Swift, but it was briefly available for sale on her website and now only months later was released on streaming, with the buzz suggesting the song was all about her breakup from Joe Alwyn. Now, I wasn't entirely surprised by this, going back to some lingering suspicions I have had with Midnights since last year that the relationship was more on tenterhooks than many would realize, but I was kind of surprised that to see it getting a bit of a minor push, attributing it to her fans who made her Spotify's global top artist this year. Wonder if her fans appreciate the irony of that song title in reference to them. But okay, bad jokes aside, I actually think the song is excellent. The sort of padded, soft-focused, gently synthetic ballad that only ramps up the pianos, the filmy drums, and the aching strings a little bit on the bridge. But Jack Antonoff actually works all that negative space to his advantage, where for every spare bit of auto-tuned vocals from Swift, it highlights the lonely emptiness that comes with being the partner in a relationship that you know it's fading out. The sort of frustrated heartbreak where another partner, they just don't get it. The barbs being thrown, they're going to cut more deeply, especially around marriage, because by then you know each other really well enough to really hurt each other, and they just don't quite grasp how far you've really gone from it all. For lack of better words, this one actually really struck close to home for me, especially given some past circumstances in which Midnight's overlap that I'm not going to get into. And if it's indeed true she recorded this alongside the rest of Midnight's in that December 2021 session, fuck, that's absolutely heartbreaking, because it meant she knew what was coming and was probably praying she would never have to release this. In other words, I understand why it was not on Midnight's. Probably one of the best throwaways that Taylor Swift has ever made, though. I will give her that, even if it's really sad. But yeah, obvious, best of the week. Not that there's much competition, where I guess Labios Mordidos by Kali Uchis and Karol G, it's the worst, but again, not saying that much, it's not that bad. Next week, again, I expect it's going to be very slow, but Nicki Minaj is coming soon. We'll have to see how all that pans out. Stay tuned for that. But until then, I'm Mark. You're watching Billboard Breakdown in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse. And I'll see you next time.